Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 1. Well, for those of you who have never messed with Photoshop before, you're in for a treat. Now, for today's lesson, as you can see, I've already got Photoshop open. What we're going to do is do a file open and navigate your way to the lesson materials I gave you for today, which is called O1 Start, and we're going to open it. Okay, first things first is that we need to look at the interface. We're going to notice that there are tools in our work area. Okay, let's start out with our tools with the menu bar. File, Edit, Image, Layer, Select, Filter, View, Window, and Help. We have a toolbox that is filled with all kinds of wonderful tools. Now the toolbox is divided into sections. We have selection tools up in the top, and those consist of our marquee, our move tool, our lasso, our magic wand, the slice tool, and the crop tool. Then it goes on to painting tools, which that's the patch tool. We have the brush, the history brush, the stamp tool, the eraser, the paint bucket, the blur tool, the dodge. All of these things are painting tools. Then below that, we have text and vector tools, which are, of course, the black and white arrows that go along with the vectors. We have the text tool, we have vector lines, and the Bezier pen. And then we have general purpose tools like annotation, the eyedropper to select color, the hand to actually move things inside the window. And then we, of course, have the magnifying glass, which will zoom in and zoom out. Then below that, we have the foreground and background colors, which, of course, if we click on the little arrows right above them, they will change places. If like black is our foreground and white is our background right now, if we click on that or hit the keyboard shortcut X, what it will do is put the white as the foreground, black as the background. But we can do that with any color just by coming over to the swatches palette and changing the color. Underneath that, we have the quick mask tool, the quick mask view and the regular view. We'll get into masks later on. Then we have different ways to view our interface, and then we have jump to Image Ready. Image Ready is kind of like Photoshop Lite. It comes with Photoshop. Image Ready is the web extension of Photoshop. It optimizes images for the web. So that is your toolbox. Then we have the tool options bar, which is directly below our menu bar. Then we have the pallets and the palette well. And then underneath here in our image window, we have, of course, down here at the bottom, we have what's called the info bar. Now, let's go on to selecting tools in the toolbox. Now, you'll notice under some tools, there's a small triangle in the corner. Now, that denotes that has hidden tools underneath it. So if, say, we had the brush and we clicked and held down our mouse button, we would notice that there's a brush tool, a pencil tool, and for CS2, there's a color replacement tool. The color replacement tool is not in Photoshop 7, but it does make its appearance in CS2. Now, the whole thing here is that if we have a hidden tool, then we can either hold down and then release when we get to the tool we want to, or what we can do is we can hold down our Alt key and then we can click on it to scroll us through until we get to the tool we want to use. Same thing applies, just hold it down. Okay? And so they will change tools just by holding down the Alt key and clicking. Now we can do that through the keyboard by going Shift and then the keyboard shortcut. Take it for example, the keyboard shortcut for the brush is B. So if I just hit the B on the keyboard, it's going to take me to my brush tool. But then if I hold down my Shift and then tap the B key, what it's going to do, it's going to scroll through just the same as Alt clicking it. Okay, so that way we know what those do. All right, the tool options bar. Every time you click on a tool, there's going to be options up here in the options bar for it. If it's the move tool, if it's the marquee tool, it does not matter. Each one has its own individual tools that its own individual options that come with it. And you'll notice that with our tool, we have our nice little it's what's called a gripper bar. Now we can move our tool options bar. Just click and drag. Okay. If we want to snap it back into place, just pull it up there. Well, cooperate, please. Thank you. And just pull it back into place. Now, if we want to, we can double click on it to collapse it. And we'll only have just the general menu options for that tool. To expand it again, we double click again. All right. So, reapplying tool defaults. Now, when we work with tools, any tool really, we click on the tool, and what it will give us is up in our options bar, we're still continuing with the options bar, we click on the tool for the pop-up palette. This is our pop-up palette. There is a little arrow right here. If we click on it, we can go to, we can either load tool presets, save tool presets, or we can reset tool presets. Now, all those things are really, really wonderful, and we can just reset the tool from here, or we can do it all in one foul swoop. Because remember, when you work with Photoshop, if you give a setting to a tool, it keeps it. Okay, it does not go back to default. To go back to default with any of your tools, you must hit reset tool, or if you want to do them all, reset all tools. Okay, so we can hit reset tool. And so that's real easy to do. Okay, and to get rid of that, just click outside. Just click anywhere in the interface and it'll pop back in. Okay, now when we go into different settings for our tools, you're going to notice that there are some with just checkboxes, some with things that you can actually click on, and then there are some that have pull-down menus. Okay, and you can choose from the pull-down menu. There are sliders to which you can do any type of, from opacity. There's all different types of sliders. And of course we have flow, those still are, we have sliders. We also have, if we go into different, let's see, let's just do something real quick. If we go to like a bevel and emboss, and we were working with this image, we would notice that there are also numeric values that we could put in for them as well. We have numeric values, we also have dials, we have all kinds of different things that we type in values for. So, we can change those just on our keyboard, or we can use the sliders or the radio buttons. Okay, and you'll be able to see the effects of your work as you're dealing with it. So that's that. So that way you know how to enter values. It's through options bars, palettes, dialog boxes, or via sliders, angle controls, arrow buttons, or text boxes. So that's really just dealing with entering values. Okay, let's get into viewing our image. Now, viewing our image is really easy. Just go to your magnifying glass, that's your zoom tool. And what you can do with the zoom tool is when you click on it, it's going to take it up a preset. Like it'll go from 100 to 200 to 300 to 400, things like that. If we want to get back to our original size in a quick hurry, double click on the magnifying glass. That'll get you where you want to go, back to 100%. Now, if we want to, with the zoom tool, what we can do is we can click and drag a specific area. And that's going to zoom in. Now, look at our magnification. Now, magnification is always shown in the top and the title of your image, and down in the right hand corner in the info bar. Okay, every time we zoom in or zoom out does not affect file size, it does not affect anything, it just affects how we see it. So when we do this, we can get into as close as 1600, or we can get as far out and away as 0.29%. Now, when we're working with the magnifying glass, you can either change it in the options bar and go to the zoom out, or what you can do is hold down the Alt key while you do it and just click. Now, this does not allow you to do a section to zoom out, but as you can see, we can go as little bitty tiny as we want. I mean, look at that. It goes all the way down. Okay, so that is working with the zoom tool. Okay, now when we're going to double click on the magnifying glass to get it back to normal size. Now, when we're zoomed in on an image, now let's just say that we're doing some color correction or some pixel painting. If we want to, we can scroll through the image by just taking the hand tool, click and pull. Okay, just click and drag, and you can look all around your image. Pretty easy. Okay, let's get back to 100%. How do we do that? Double click on the magnifying glass. Now, up here in the right hand corner though, we see another way to zoom in on things. Now, what you're going to notice as you zoom in, you're going to notice that the little red box up here in the corner is going to get larger and smaller. That's because this also controls your view in the navigator window. Now, also what you can do when you're really zoomed in is that when we get onto this particular when we have a red square like this, we can either pull it around and it'll change our view, or we can just click on a certain area and it'll take us there. And so that is the navigator window that you'll really want to pay attention to, just in case, like sometimes we work at such a high magnification that we have a tendency to get lost and we don't know where we are. I mean, I've done that 100 times, where I'm working at such a very small area that I'll go, oh, where am I on my texture? And what I'll do is I'll just pull this or click, and that way we can see, different areas. But then again, we can zoom back down. We can even type in a value, 100%. There it is. Okay, just the same as double clicking on that magnifying glass. Okay, now if we want to say, fit our image to the screen. Now, we all know that working in there, our texture sizes are very small. So what we do in a lot of cases is and up here in this options bar, you can tell it to fit to screen. Okay? Anytime that we have zoomed in, zoomed out, anything having to do with this image, if we want it to fit to screen, we could either click on fit screen, we could do view fit on screen, or what we can do is hold down your control key, press control, then hit your 0. And control 0 will give you a fit to screen. And you want proof? Fine. We'll do fit on screen, control 0. Okay, and you can notice that there are keyboard shortcuts for all of this. So when you're working on zooming in, zooming out, when you're great big huge, grab that hand tool and pull it, and you'll be able to see everything. Or go up here into your navigator, or you can hit control 0 to see the whole thing, or double click on your magnifying glass to get it back to 100%. Pretty easy, huh? Okay, so we've learned how to zoom in and out. So let's now work with our palettes. Now, palettes are a pretty important part of what we do in Photoshop. It really is. And so we're just going to resize our window just by clicking and dragging. Now, everything that's on your Photoshop interface does what's called float. Okay, everything floats, from your toolbars from your toolbox, sorry, that's a toolbox, not a toolbar, from your toolbox to your pallets. Okay? All of this stuff floats, and you can place it wherever you want, wherever you feel comfortable. Now, with pallets, what we have is the ability to take them apart. Okay? We can take them apart and divide them up into areas. Now, we talked about the pallet well a little earlier. Now, the pallet well is an area where you have, say, dialog boxes or specific tool presets. Okay? Now, in the pallet well, you can also take your pallets and pull them into the pallet well, so that way you can clear off part of your workspace. And when you do that, what happens is that you have completely and totally, minimized the amount of stuff that's going on your desktop. Okay? So inside the interface, you might just have a few things. Everything in the pallets, and let's move, that's the info panel. Okay, when we have things like this, notice that they are all, when you roll over them, they're going to expand a little bit so that way you can see what it is. Okay, it's just like a file folder up there. If you want to, you just click on it, and then you have your, you can scroll through everything. I have quite a few styles. Or if you want to, you can also drag it so it becomes a little bit larger. Okay, so what we're going to do is just learn briefly about your pallets, and that you can take them after you dock them in your pallet well, you can pull them back out again. Okay, so we have styles, color, and swatches that were all together. So if we want to, we have the 3 separate ones, or we can combine them into just one. Okay, so that way you can go through and have a particular set. Now, the info panel we had that was down with our navigator and our histogram. Now, we also had our history palette. We can pull that out, and we can couple it with actions, or we can use layer composition. Okay, and what you can do is, mix and match, pull them together. You have a whole pile of them. Okay, so if you want to see, say, the the character and paragraph settings, if you want to, you can separate those, or you can put them back together, or you can put them inside your palette. Okay, it's very easy to deal with. Okay, so let's put together the character and the paragraph. And what you're going to notice is that they do snap to the interface. Okay, so if you want to go above, you can, but it'll tell you exactly when to stop if you want to snap them into place. Now, when we have palettes like this, sometimes you'll notice that there is an ability to collapse it. Okay, you can collapse them very easily. So if you wanted to move it and didn't want to have to deal with it, you could. But again, you can come back and expand it. Like in the swatches palette, I mean, look at how many I have. Now, I have a combination. I have the regular RGB swatches that come with Photoshop, but then I've added to them the hair swatches for there. I've also added in the name tag colors, and I've also integrated skin tones. So as you're working with this, you're going to learn that you can make your own swatches. You can do a lot of things, and they all reside here in your swatches palette. And if we want to close those back down again, we can do one of two things. Oh, come on, guy. Cooperate with me. We can close that up again to say like that. And it has a static size that it is, that you can't go past. But you can always expand and enlarge them. Okay? You can always do that. Okay? But I like to have my workspace very neat. If we want to, if we collapse all of them or expand all of them, you'll notice, wow, we've got a lot of stuff going on. There are ways to, and sometimes you can click twice on them or 3 times, and that will expand it for you. If you play with your palettes, you'll notice that you're able to arrange your workspace back again to the default workspace if you'd like, or you can, if you get comfortable with how you're doing it, maybe you like your, who knows, maybe you like your toolbox over on the right hand side. What you can do is go to Window, Workspace, Save Workspace. And when you go to save the workspace, it will also save keyboard shortcuts that you have made and menu items that you've made. It will save those for you. But if you want to, just go back, and if you totally mess things up, don't panic. That's the first rule of thumb. My goodness, I have had more students go, I've messed up my workspace, Sherry, what do I do? No, you just stay calm, because you go to Window, Workspace, and then you can reset your palette locations, or you can choose the default workspace. And when you save your own custom workspace, you'll see it as a menu item below. Let me save it real quick. And we'll call it, well, that was quick. Okay, and then we can go to Workspace, and then there's our workspace, and it'll set it that way. But for this lesson, let's just go and default the workspace again. And there we go. And of course, I want to delete that because I have a typo. And we can delete the workspace and tell it yes. Okay, very simple, very easy working with palettes. Now, on each palette, you're going to notice that there is a little button with a little arrow inside. These each have individual things that you can do with that individual palette. And you can dock it to the palette well. And docking it to the palette well, look what just happened. We did that with history. And it did just what we did earlier with the click and drag. But this time, in the history panel, we can tell it that, we can actually click and drag to take it back to the actions panel. It's little friend the actions panel. And we can do that with each and every one of them. We can say dock to palette well, and it'll do it. All we got to do is click and drag, put it back. Okay? Don't panic. This is a genie for you. It will do what you ask it to do. Okay? If you get stuck, you know what? Click on help. Because help is going to get you places. Now, there is online Photoshop help. And you can definitely tell it, hey, I need help. And it'll take you to a web page that will give you the help you need. You can go through, and like this opens up the help center. And you can go through, click on categories. There's all kinds of great stuff. Look at the new features that come with it. You can do some tutorials that are in there. Like this one's color correction and tone. You can do a number of things, right there from help. So don't forget that that is there for you. So I think we have wrapped it up for today. Oh my goodness, what a bunch of stuff we've learned today. We learned all about our interface. We learned about our menus, our options bar, our toolbox. We learned about our navigator. We learned about our palettes. We've learned how to reset our palettes. If you move things around, don't panic. Workspace, reset palette locations. It's quick and easy. Okay, if you have any questions for me, you know that I am always available. I want you to take and play with this on your own. There will be a handout that I have given you that has the step-by-step on how to go through this exercise on your own. So, do some practicing. Remember, this is not a monster. It is not going to come up and eat you. Okay, this is a very intuitive program that is like a genie in a bottle. You tell it what to do and it does it for you. So that concludes our lesson for today. Good luck. See you next time.